as you can see from the picture, in this video we will be discussing about United Nations Convention Against Torture, which is also known as UNCAT. So the alleged torture and custodial killing of Tamil Nadu father and son by police pointed towards a broken criminal justice system and highlighted the need for police reform and the ratification of the United Nations Convention Against Torture. So in this video we will discuss about UNCAT, reason behind custodial violence in India, and the Law Commission report summary for implementation of the United Nations Convention Against Torture in India. Let's see. So first we will discuss about the UNCAT. The Convention Against Torture and Other Cruel, Inhuman or Degrading Treatment or Punishment, commonly known as United Nations Convention Against Torture, is an international human rights treaty under the review of the United Nations that aims to prevent torture and other acts of cruel, inhuman or degrading treatment or punishment around the world. The convention requires states to take effective measures to prevent torture in any territory and under their jurisdiction, and forbid states to transport people to any country where there is reason to believe they will be tortured. That's why extradition is very difficult in India, because we have not yet rectified this treaty. We will see in the coming slide. The text of the convention was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly on 10 December 1984, and following ratification by the 20th state, it came into force on 26 June 1987. 26 June is now recognized as the International Day in support of victims of torture in honor of the convention. So you have to remember this 26 June. So we will see who have the country signed. As you can see, India is a part of the unique list of 9 countries that, along with Sudan, Brunei, Bahamas, Sao Tome Principe, Angola, Comoros, Gambia and Palau, these countries have the inglorious distinction of not having ratified the United Nations Convention Against Torture. Approximately 170 countries had signed and ratified. India is among those 9 countries. India has signed it but has not ratified it. We will see the difference in the coming. So we first will see why there is so much high custodial death in India. Because this contest comes when the custodial death of a father and son in Satankulam town in Tamil Nadu, Thoothukudi district has led to protest. Sorry if I have not pronounced it right. According to National Crime Record Bureau data, between 2001 and 2018, only 26 policemen were convicted of custodial violence, despite 1727 such deaths being recorded in India. Only 4.3% of the 70 deaths in 2018 were attributed to injury during custody due to physical assault by police, except in UP, MP, Chhattisgarh and Orissa. No policemen were convicted for such death across the country. Apart from custodial death, more than 2000 human rights violation cases were also recorded against the police between 2000 and 2018, and only 344 policemen were convicted in those cases. So we will see the reason behind the custodial violence. First is the absence of the strong legislation. India does not have an anti-torture legislation and yet to criminalize custodial violence, while action against culpable officials remains illusionary, as you have seen in the previous slide also. Institutional challenges that are being faced. The entire prison system is inherently opaque, give less room to transparency. For example, if you need prison actions is provided only with prior permission, such as depositing rupees 1 lakh in the name of superintendent of the concerned jail before entry. Excessive scrutiny is done of all recorded or documented material in the prison. Prison reform, this is one of the key aspects. So prison reform, Prison reform, India also fails in bringing the much desired prison reform. Prisons continue to be affected by the poor condition, overcrowding, acute manpower shortage, and the minimal safety against harm in prisons. And the fourth is the excessive force, that the use of excessive force including torture to target marginalized community and control people participating in movement or propagating ideology which the state perceive as opposed to his stature, not adhering to international standard. Although India has signed the United Nations Convention Against Torture in 1997, its ratification is still pending. We have signed it in 1997. What's the difference? While signing only indicates the country's intention to meet the obligations set out in the treaty, ratification, on the other hand, entails bringing laws and mechanisms to fulfill the commitment, which we have not brought. We have not brought any laws. That's why we are not able to rectify the treaty. So we will see there are many law commission has been formed, and we will see the one of the law commission report summary which has focused especially on implementation of the United Nations Convention Against Torture. So the Law Commission of India, the chairman in this was the Dr. Justice B.S. Chauhan. Remember this, there can be direct question in the prelims. Submitted its report on implementation of the United Nations Convention Against Torture and other cruel, inhumane and degrading treatment or punishment through legislation to the Ministry of the Law and Justice on October 30, 2017. India signed the convention on the October 14, 1997, but has not ratified it so far. So how it was came? The matter was referred to the Law Commission in July 2017, following a recommendation by the Supreme Court. This recommendation was made while the court was hearing a case related to torture and death sentence. So there was a case, and due to which this matter was referred to Law Commission. Law Commission brought out this report. So the Law Commission stated that the objective of the convention seeks to ensure that the countries put in place various institutional mechanisms to prevent the use of torture. Each country that is party to the convention is required to carry out certain steps such as legislative, administrative, judicial, or other measures to prevent torture. Second is the ensure that the torture is a criminal offense among others. In order to meet this obligation, the Commission recommended amendment to the Code of Criminal Procedure 1973 and the Indian Evidence Act 1872. In addition to the Commission submitted a draft Prevention of Torture Bill 2017 which defines act that should constitute torture and prescribe punishment for such act. So you can see for the Commission has recommended amendment to two legislation, that is Code of Criminal Procedure 1973 and the Indian Evidence Act 1872. So we will see more. So what is the ratification of the convention? The Commission observed India has faced problems in extradition of criminals from foreign country. This is because the convention prevents extradition to a country where there is a danger of torture. It recommended that this issue should be resolved by ratifying the convention. So the Commission observed, so we'll now see definition of torture. The Commission observed that there is no definition of torture in the current Indian law. According to the draft Prevention of Torture Bill 2017, any public servant or an individual authorized by him indulge in act of torture if they inflict on another person, so you have to see, grievous hurt, danger to life, limb or health, severe physical or mental pain, and fourth is the death for the purpose of acquiring information or punishment. So they have defined the torture here. Punishment for act of torture. In order to deter the use of torture, the Commission recommended stringent punishment for individuals who commit such act. According to the draft Prevention of Torture Bill 2017, punishment for torture include imprisonment up to 10 years and fine. In case torture lead to death, the punishment should include death or life imprisonment in addition to fine. Protection for individual. The Commission recommended an effective mechanism be put in place to protect victims of torture, complaint and witness against possible violence and ill treatment. The draft Prevention of Torture Bill 2017 makes state government responsible for protecting these individuals. The state government will provide such protection for the time of submission of complaint till conclusion of trial for the offence. So the compensation for torture. The Commission recommended amendment to the Code of Criminal Procedure 1973 to allow for payment of compensation in case of torture. It made this recommendation citing that the court have previously awarded compensation for various forms of torture, including illegal detention and custodial torture. The Commission recommended a court should determine compensation on the basis of nature, physical and state of injury caused to a person among other factors. Custodial injury. The Commission recommended amendment to the Indian Evidence Act 1872 to ensure that a person sustained injury in police custody, it will be presumed that these have been inflicted by the police. The burden of proofs lie on the police authority to explain such injuries. So this has been the recommendation by the Law Commission report, but not much steps has been taken in this direction. So the government should took a progressive measure and bring this law at least, so that we can rectify the United Nations Convention Against Torture. Thank you. Stay healthy, stay safe.